Hola, mi nombre es Chris Calcutt y soy especialista de producto en Zentralmedia y hoy estoy aquí con Chris Calcutt. Hi Chris.
Hey, how are you doing?
Chris es el especialista de producto de la marca Novation y viene a presentarnos en exclusiva y por primera vez en España lo que será la gran novedad de este año de la marca, el Launchpad Pro. Are you ready?
Let's go. Okay, cool. So here we have the Launchpad Pro. And of course, the first thing you see is that it's based on the same sort of outline as the original Launchpad. So we have 8 by 8 buttons. We've got some new buttons on here as well, which gives us some really nice new features. But one of the first things that you notice is the fact that we have got different colours on the pads. This is now RGB backlit buttons, which means that we have a huge range of colours that we can choose from. Now, for example, if I want to change the colour in Ableton Live, I'm going to change this top one to from being red, and I'm going to go to Ableton Live, right-click on the clip, and I'm going to click on the blue colour, and you see immediately it jumps to being blue. So the way that the Launchpad Pro works in session mode is pretty much the same as we have with the original Launchpad. We have our arrow buttons at the top, which allow us to move left and right. We can move up and down as well. And if you look on the Ableton Live screen there, you can see the red band, which represents the 64 buttons, moving around with that. If I want to launch any clips, it's really easy. I can just trigger a clip by pressing that particular clip. If I want to stop the clip, I can press one of the buttons that doesn't have any lights, that isn't lit up. There's no clips there, so basically we're starting an empty clip at this point. This allows us to start and to stop the clips. If I want to stop clips in a different way, I have a stop clip button at the bottom here. If I press and hold this button, I can also use the appropriate channel to stop that clip. So I'm going to trigger these clips again. And we'll look now at the scene launch as well. Now with scene launch, I can launch a whole row of clips. So if I press, for example, this second row down, we can launch that second row in its entirety. If I want to launch the top row, again, if I press here, we're going to launch that whole clip, that whole row of clips. Again, I can press the stop clip button and stop the clips that I don't want to hear. Okay. So now we've looked at the session page, we'll move on and look at how we can use Launchpad Pro in a really creative way using the note mode. And in this, we'll be able to create our own clips using a couple of different methods and use Launchpad Pro as a really nice way of creating music in real time. Let's take a look at note mode. In this mode, we'll look at controlling drum racks and chromatic instruments. Okay, so what we're going to do now is move into note mode, and we're going to start to use Launchpad Pro to create our own clips in real time. In the session page, I'm going to just trigger off some clips. So the first thing is I'm going to start that drum beat again, and I'll bring in the extra clips that we had as well. They're quite nice. So, okay. Now, the easiest thing to do is to just move to note mode, no problem. But before I actually record into a clip, I need to record arm that clip. Now you'll notice on Launchpad Pro that if I press one of the buttons at the bottom here, we've got the record arm button, we stay in record arm mode. And now by pushing the red buttons at the bottom, I can choose which channel I'm going to record into. I'm going to record into this channel at the moment. So that's fine, we're set. Now if I press record arm again, we come out of record arm mode. However, if I press and hold record arm, I temporarily go into that mode, and I can move to another channel and then release, and we jump straight out. So this is a really nice, quick, easy way of being able to jump to the track that you want when you're going to record. Next thing, I'll move to the record mode itself. Now, the track that we're on is using a drum rack in Ableton. A drum rack is a collection of drum samples that are populated into a nice instrument. If I press the note mode, you'll see here I can use the pads to actually play the drums. The 64 backlit RGB buttons are velocity sensitive as well, which is a really nice thing, so we can get some nice velocity performance into our recordings as well. Now, to record in, I can just simply hit the record button, and the next available slot in Ableton will become record enabled, and we'll record directly into that. So again, it's a really nice thing. Nothing is recording at the minute. I hit the record button and we'll automatically start to place our music, our notes into a new clip. Now, before I do that, I'm going to turn the click track on as well. Now the click track, we can hear it, that's absolutely fine, but obviously if you're doing a live performance, you can send the click track out to a different output, maybe to a headphone output, so you don't necessarily have to send that click out to the audience. It's a nice way of staying in time when you're recording as well. So, the next thing is just to simply hit the record button and away we go. So we've recorded that in, really straightforward. I can take the click track off now. Now it's a slightly out of time. If you look at the clip lane at the bottom of Ableton, you can see that some of the notes are not 100% in time. So if I press the quantize button, it's essentially going to bring all of those notes and put them back perfectly into time for us. You can see that just tightening up. So you see now that we've got the function buttons down the side here, we've got some really useful things. We've got the quantize button. We have an undo button as well, so if I'm not quite happy with what I've done, I can always undo. Now, I've taken the quantize off, we'll put quantize back on, of course, now. I'm going to use the duplicate button, and this is going to make an exact copy of the clip we've just created. The nice thing is, if I press duplicate, we create that new clip, and I can now start to add extra drum samples to that just by hitting record. So, we'll add some new stuff to it. When we're happy with that, we can again press the quantize button, tighten everything up. That's perfect. Now I'm going to move across to a bass part and record a little bit of a bass line in. Again, I'm going to hold the record arm button down, and now because I can't actually reach the bass track at the minute, I'm just going to use the navigation arrows to move across. The bass is on this track here, so we'll record on this track. Now when I release the record arm button, we're going to jump straight back to note mode, but you'll notice a big difference now because now we're in chromatic note mode. Chromatic note mode is slightly different from drum rack mode in that it gives us a chromatic keyboard to play the notes in with. The purple notes are octaves, and they're by default set to the note C. If I want to change that note, I can use the left and right arrows to move up and down to a different root note. I can use the up and down arrows to change the octave. Once again, if I hit the record button, we're going to record into the next available slot. So let's go ahead and do so. Once we've captured that, again I'll quantize it, we'll duplicate it. We also have a double button. If I want to extend this by twice as long, so if I want to increase the clip size by if I want to double it essentially, if I want to create it, make it twice as long, press the double, and now whereas at the moment it's a 4-bar phrase, if I press double, it'll become an 8-bar phrase. In this section, we'll explore device control and mixer control. Okay, so in this session we're going to have a quick look at device mode and how we can use this and some of the other fader modes that we have in Launchpad Pro to control our live sets. Now, at the moment I'm in note mode. If I press and hold the session page, like we saw before, we have a quick view mode. So I'm going to start this scene here, this whole row of clips. When I release session page, we jump straight back to note mode. Of course, we're going to look at device mode and how we can use this to control our devices as well. So we'll just press single time, press very quickly, and we stay in device mode. Now, the Launchpad Pro has got faders, and you see here I'm controlling on Ableton Live the filter frequency of the string sound by pressing a button on the Launchpad. If I want to control another effect, I can do by just pressing on a different channel. So effectively we've got 8 faders across the Launchpad Pro. Now you'll notice if I press hard, we jump straight to that particular setting. But we've got a really nice new feature on Launchpad Pro which is called Fader Glide. Now, as I mentioned before, the pads are velocity sensitive, so if I press lightly, you'll see that we get a really nice smooth and subtle glide. So this is a really nice musical way of being able to use the effects. Okay, so now let's just try some different effects as well. So you can see on the macro effects that I've set up here, the 8 effects, I'm able to control Ableton really easily using this. Now the device mode is obviously great for controlling the devices, but along the bottom here as well, as we've seen, we've got record arm, we've got track select, we've got mutes. These are all sort of simple switches. Then we get to volume. Now the volume has the same feature. So again, if I press lightly, I can just easily get a nice smooth fader glide to that point. And if I want to, if I press quickly there, we stay in the volume mode. Again, if I press and hold, we enter the different mode, and then release, we jump straight back. But let's go back to volume mode. And now I'll use hard velocity, press really hard on the clips, and we'll trigger them, well, we'll get the volume at the right level pretty much immediately. Okay. We've also got access to send effects. This is really useful as well. So here I have 3 send effects set up within Ableton. So the top one is a reverb. The second one is a delay, which is a bit much perhaps, so I'll just bring that down. And finally I've set up a third one here, and again I'll just bring that. Really easy to access the send effects as well. Let's go back to session page. When I'm happy, you know, we've done a nice performance, I can press and hold stop clip. Another nice thing is I can press the scene button here, and this will stop all of the clips at the same time. We'll now take a look at user mode, and we'll explore how we can use this to create our own interesting light shows. In this little bit, we'll look at the user mode. We've seen how the Launchpad Pro has got these fantastic, really nice bright RGB lights. And we can use this to actually get some really nice creative light shows, animations, pretty much anything we want to do with the 64 buttons in terms of nice sort of flashy light show stuff we can do. So I'll just start a quick drum part. Yeah, so we've got a bit of background music there to go along with it. And if I just move across here, I've got this track here, and this has got some different pre-programmed MIDI clips that I've put in. So let's just fire that off. And I'm just going to move to user mode. And you can see now this is actually mimicking the drum part. So if I now go back to session, hold the session button down, and we'll change the view here. We've got another bit added to that light show as well. So you can see this is just a small example of some of the things that we can do. And if we go back to session page and bring in the next clip. So you can see we've got lots of nice things here. Now, just very quickly showing you how this works. Here is a MIDI clip that I've created in Ableton. And we'll just zoom in a bit here so you can see what's going on. And basically these are just MIDI notes, and the notes are set to different velocities here in the controller lane, and the velocities change the color of the lights. So basically this is how you program your light shows. So we've got quite a lot going on there, but it's quite an involved kind of light show on this one. So yeah, that's the user mode with our light shows. Of course, user mode can be used to map to other devices and whatever we want basically within Ableton, with Ableton's very powerful mapping system. Another really important aspect of the Launchpad Pro is the fact that we've got standalone mode. Inside the box you'll find these orange cables, and when you take a standard 5-pin MIDI connection, we can use these cables to connect Launchpad Pro to any external devices. The Launchpad Pro is bus powered, but we also supply a power supply in the box as well. So if you want to use Launchpad Pro away from your computer, you can do so. Another really important thing about Launchpad Pro is that into the future, we're hoping to release the firmware. This means that lots of people are going to be able to create their own devices directly on Launchpad Pro. And this really opens up the vast possibilities of using this grid-based controller to control all your external MIDI devices. So there we have the Launchpad Pro.
Oh, thank you very much, Chris.
My pleasure.
Muchas gracias a Chris por esta gran demostración que nos ha hecho de este fantástico instrumento. Hasta pronto.